one of the most famous fighters of his generation, fighting in one of the famous stadiums in the world. Can you imagine being AJ right now? A lot of pressure too, though. Don't get it twisted. You've got to perform in front of 96,000 of your closest friends.
But mamma mia, Rosie, a social media sensation turned boxer, has turned the sport on its ear. This is incredible. And what must be going through this 27-year-old mind, like so many members of his generation, dealing with mental health issues? Here we go!
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua has sparked strong debate among boxing experts. Most predict Joshua would control the fight thanks to his size, power, and top heavyweight experience. His Olympic background and history of knockouts give him a clear edge. Jake Paul has improved beating MMA fighters and lower-level boxers, but has never faced a true world-class heavyweight. Analysts say Paul's only chance would be an early surprise punch, but Joshua's discipline and jab would dominate. Many expect a one-sided stoppage in just a few rounds. While the matchup is exciting to watch, professionals overwhelmingly see Joshua winning comfortably.
Kisa, a few times on it. I mean, there's nothing to report to you that it's close or, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Of course, AJ is exclusive to DAZN. We also work very closely with His Excellency, and although we have no contract with him, we're in talks for big fights next year. Of course, Tyson Fury being one of them. So we'd definitely give him the respect of making sure that he was aware of the plan and, part of that plan as well. But at the moment, there's nothing major to report on that. Would we take the fight? Absolutely. I think Jake would be... my estimations of Jake Paul would go through the roof if he signed to fight Anthony Joshua, because I just can't believe in my mind that he would do something like that. Gervonta was a smart one because of his size. I think actually he would have had a lot of success against Jake Paul, but the size is a problem. But this would just be, if Jake Paul was to take the fight with AJ, you'd really have to maybe carry his balls in a wheelbarrow on the ring walk, because AJ wouldn't mess around in there, so it would be huge, but nothing to tell you it's close.
The fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua is officially scheduled for December 19th, 2025 at the Casa Center in Miami, and will be streamed worldwide on Netflix. This is not an exhibition but a fully sanctioned professional heavyweight bout under Queensberry rules, with 8 rounds of 3 minutes each in 10-ounce gloves. To even the matchup, Joshua has accepted a weight limit of 245 pounds, which is unusually low for him. With both fighters risking their records, this high-stakes clash promises real consequences, with knockouts and a clear winner very much possible.
Jake Paul will face the 2-time unified heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua on Friday, December the 19th in Miami, Florida. It's going to be an 8-round fight with 3-minute rounds and 10-ounce gloves. It's Joshua's first fight since being knocked out by Daniel Dubois in September last year. Jake Paul won a unanimous decision against veteran Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. earlier this year. Well, Jake Paul said this: a professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears and no one can deny me the opportunity to fight for a world title. To all my haters, this is what you wanted. To the people of the United Kingdom,
the boxing community and fans have shared strong opinions about Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua. Many feel that Paul's goal to face a seasoned heavyweight like Joshua is unrealistic and overly ambitious.
That's right, the real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights. Then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind, you're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone.
Dave Allen strongly warns that Anthony Joshua could harm his reputation by taking on Jake Paul. He says that if Paul lands even one clean punch, it could undo much of what Joshua has built in his career. Allen sees the fight as more entertainment than sport and doubts Joshua would want to take that risk. He adds that many serious boxing fans would see it as a step down, and that Joshua could lose respect in the boxing world by facing a YouTube star turned boxer like Paul.
Lost to Tommy Fury. Anthony Joshua cannot box Jake Paul. Horrific. He's dangerous for one, and two, if Jake Paul even lands a glove on him, it just diminishes everything that he's achieved. Jake Paul won't last 2 minutes for me. Never mind Anthony Joshua. It's ridiculous. It's a joke.
If AJ does say yes to going in against Jake Paul, does he harm his legacy?
I would lose a bit of respect for him, and I think a lot of boxing people would as well, to be honest. Why would he box him? 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, one of the best heavyweights the last 20 years, held British boxing on his back. People might say he deserves to box Jake Paul. But why though? Why would he do it?
Did you lose respect from when he fought Ngannou? Did you lose respect from Fury when he fought Ngannou?
Ngannou's a serious fighting man. World champion in mixed martial arts.
It's a worrying thing, potentially, the damage that AJ could do to Jake Paul.
He'll hurt him. Yeah, Jake Paul is a cruiserweight. You wouldn't put the Midlands area cruiserweight champion in with Anthony Joshua, so why would you put Jake Paul in there? Just because he's a superstar, whatever. I don't know what he does. What does he do? What is he?
A YouTuber.
It's just not worth it. He's got enough money as it is. Why risk all that for a few more quid? I don't like it. I hope it don't.
Since the fight is expected to be an official bout rather than an exhibition, Roy Jones Jr. pushes back on the idea that Jake Paul could become a true world champion, openly questioning Paul's ability to win a real title. He points out that Paul has mostly avoided highly tested opponents and believes that if he faces top experienced boxers, they would beat him. While Jones admits Paul might get a title shot eventually, he says it would only happen under very favorable conditions and remains doubtful about Paul's chances of actually winning a legitimate championship.
Will become a world champion? No. Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you catch somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson, he caught at the end of their career, the chances are much higher because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has a mentality further than his, but past their prime, it kind of evens.
Anthony Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn has downplayed Jake Paul's boxing skills, calling him an average fighter. Hearn has often questioned whether Paul can compete at the top level, especially against someone like Joshua. He says that although Paul has improved over time, he is still far from the standard needed to face elite heavyweights.
Paul, good for the sport of boxing?
Yes, I know these guys. They're unbelievably bright. I mean, Logan, much brighter than Jake, in my opinion. But Jake's smart. Okay. Content, we have our ups and downs. I respect Jake. I actually respect him in a boxing sense as well. But we fell out because I told him he was average. That's actually a compliment. Like, to be an average fighter, coming to this kid who's 26, 27, decides to go into boxing. We had a conversation where he's actually telling me he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez. And I'm looking around for cameras. I'm thinking, am I mic'd up?
Eddie Hearn also highlighted Jake Paul's bold claims, like saying he could beat Canelo Alvarez. Hearn calls this idea crazy and thinks Paul is greatly overestimating himself. While Paul has beaten former MMA fighters and lower-level boxers, many experts see the notion that he could take on world-class fighters like Canelo or Joshua as unrealistic and even laughable.
Then it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and I'm actually being dead serious. I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in, Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury in Ngannou was when it came around, or Mayweather McGregor.
Simon Jordan, former Crystal Palace owner and outspoken boxing pundit, has strongly warned Jake Paul about his proposed fight with Anthony Joshua. Jordan says the matchup mocks the sport, claiming Paul does not have the skill or credibility to face a heavyweight star like Joshua. He believes the fight damages boxing's reputation and calls it a clear example of what's wrong with the sport. Jordan predicts Paul would be crushed and says the bout is not only risky for him but also cheapens Joshua's legacy by turning a serious fight into mere entertainment.
Player welfare, and he is in a situation where someone's welfare should be considered in the equation, not his financial welfare. But Jake Paul going into a fight with Anthony Joshua, to me, is absurd. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a legitimate two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He may have got destroyed by Daniel Dubois, but notwithstanding, there's nothing physically wrong with Anthony Joshua that he can't execute. Mentally, he might be in a little bit of a difficult position after the loss to Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul, if this is not going to be, curated into a little dance around exhibition, could find himself in a way of getting seriously hurt here, like Francis Ngannou did. Francis Ngannou was an MMA fighter that got blasted out by Anthony Joshua. A fitter, more focused Anthony Joshua than the version we've got now, possibly. But this, to me, is everything that's wrong with boxing. It's a money play, nothing wrong. I don't begrudge Anthony Joshua getting 50 million quid for an easy night's work. That's fantastic returns. Most people would take it. But from the boxing world, Jake Paul is now a professional fighter. Whether we categorise him as a YouTuber or not, he's licensed to fight, which means that the governing body should be suggesting that this is not a fight that possibly they should be looking to sanction.
Yeah.
But they will, because the sanctioning fees will be enormous. Anthony Joshua will not lose his legacy like some people are suggesting, because no one will remember it in 2 or 3 years' time. If he embarrasses himself in there, they'll remember it. If he goes in and knocks him out in 30 seconds flat, or turns it into a little bit more of a sort of Jake LaMotta, Raging Bull, holding him up for a few rounds and then knocking him out, then people will forgive it. He'll get a big bag of money, which most people in the world would take, and move on. And then we'll see if he fights anybody meaningful in the year. I mean, it is like sport has become, and what I got my head around on Saturday night was the entertainment value of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. The fighting of itself, I could be all pious about it, but the entertainment industry is so prevalent in sport now. This is entertainment. This is going to have hundreds of millions of people watching it. Of course. And Anthony Joshua gets paid, and Jake Paul hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right, and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get demolished.
David Benz recognizes that Jake Paul is one of the biggest draws in boxing when it comes to attracting attention and selling fights. While many traditional fans criticize his skills, Benz believes that Paul's presence adds excitement and opens up financial opportunities for the sport.
I'm Trisha DeWong, and I'm here with David Benavidez. What are you looking forward to the most tonight at Bare Knuckle?
Honestly, it's my first time being at a bare knuckle fight, and it's already started amazing, and I'm just here to come to see the gore, the blood, and all that, so it's been living up to the hype.
I want to ask you about Jake Paul wanting to fight Anthony Joshua. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good fight. If they can make it happen, then let's do it, you know what I mean? Jake Paul is a big household name. Anthony Joshua, needless to say, he's one of the greatest champions of boxing, so if they can get it done, that'll be a huge fight for boxing, and I said let's do it.
You were in the talks to fight Bivol. What are your thoughts on that? Is it in the works? So when is it happening?
So right now we're trying to negotiate the fight. It might be in the works in September, but we don't know. You know, everything in boxing is not 100%, so we're just going to keep trying to negotiate the fight, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But that's...
Veteran heavyweight Derek Chisora has strongly criticized the idea of Jake Paul getting a WBC ranking, calling it a disrespect to boxing. Chisora said real fighters work hard to earn their place, while Paul, facing non-ranked or past prime opponents, would move up because of fame, not skill. He accused WBC president Mauricio Sullian of putting money over credibility, saying that it is a disgrace to boxing and unfair. Chisora stressed that true rankings should be earned in the ring, not given for attention or promotional gain.
They've said they're going to give a cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
No, I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers to gain those rankings, and then suddenly this Solomon Souza decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his back pocket. No, there is.
Lawrence Akoli has expressed serious concern about Jake Paul's potential fight with Anthony Joshua, warning it could be extremely risky. Although Akoli once sparred with Paul and praised his dedication and mindset, he now feels that facing AJ, who has top-level power and skill, would be dangerously uneven. Many boxing professionals share this worry. Eddie Hearn called it very dangerous. Frank Warren noted Joshua's clear physical advantage, and former world champion Amir Khan also warned that Paul could be seriously harmed in the ring against Joshua.
On this nonsense?
Where am I? I can't see it happening. I can't. Although yes, lots of money, so on and so forth. I can't see it. I just can't. It just obviously as someone who's been a unified heavyweight world champion going in against Jake Paul, it doesn't sit right. Yeah, and it's like I'm also talking from a health and safety factor. It's like he's maybe a cruiserweight. Yeah. Anthony Joshua's a very big, strong heavyweight, and if he turns it on, it's not just a risk of a knockout. It's a much bigger risk. So I can't see it personally.
Former world champion Carl Froch does not take Jake Paul seriously as a boxer. Froch says Paul lacks real boxing skills and just moves around the ring. After watching Paul's fight with Tommy Fury, Froch called it a total mismatch and said Paul is far from being a genuine contender.
Take Jake Paul, that's serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he does so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different.
MMA fighter Darren Till has spoken out, calling Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua disrespectful. He believes that despite Paul's marketing skills, he has not earned the right to face one of boxing's top names. Many in the boxing world agree, feeling Paul is well out of his league. Paul has not only challenged Joshua but also claimed that Joshua lacks a chin and skill, which has angered fans and analysts given Joshua's decorated career, multiple championships, and fights against elite opponents like Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Usyk. Many see Paul's comments as an attempt to grab attention by disrespecting a seasoned professional.
Is it all just, does he actually believe that he can beat Anthony Joshua? Is it all for clout? Is it all just to keep his... I don't know. I mean, fucking... It's a little bit disrespectful as well. Like, Anthony Joshua hasn't fucking been a heavyweight world champion, beating all these absolute killers just to get called out by Jake Paul. But look, if Jake Paul believes in himself, then, you know, you can't really fault that. Like, obviously, but sometimes it comes across as a bit delusion as well. Because I know for a fact that I'd fight Jake, I'd beat him up easy. Not easy.
The Paul Joshua fight seriously weakens boxing's credibility. It is seen as part of a growing trend of celebrity or crossover bouts that focus on entertainment rather than true athletic competition. Sanctioning high-pay mismatches with social media stars lowers boxing's value and undermines its purity. Instead of testing top-level boxers, these events prioritize spectacle over skill, putting the sport's integrity and the respect of serious fans at risk.
But it gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is...
Jake Paul's challenge to Joshua is a mix of both. On one hand, it's smart from a business and publicity perspective. He gains massive attention, potential earnings, and a chance to raise his profile. On the other hand, it's a huge risk in the ring. Joshua's size, power, and experience make him a serious threat, and even one clean punch could have major consequences for Paul.
Looks like
it's a high reward but high danger move.